Today, we'll discover what cats fear the most. What are the 9 main fears that disrupt their feline peace? Although they may seem calm, beneath their purring, they hide fears that can trigger so much stress that in some cases, they even stop eating. In this video, we'll see what cats are really afraid of and how this affects their behavior and health. Stay until the end to learn how to recognize these signs of fear and apply simple tips that will help your cat feel more secure and happy. After all, less fear means a healthier and longer life for your cat. 1. Fear of loud noises. Imagine if your safest space suddenly becomes a chaos of bangs and crashes, thunder, a vacuum cleaner, and fireworks that resonate like drums in their sensitive ears. To a cat, those sounds are a roar. Their hearing is up to 5 times sharper than that of humans. When faced with this noise, many felines choose to hide under the bed, freeze in fear, or react aggressively. This isn't bad behavior, but rather a survival instinct. Exposure to these stimuli can raise their cortisol levels, affecting their rest and cardiovascular health. To help them, create a warm, safe haven in a quiet room, place a box with blankets and a bowl of water. Play music at a low volume to mask the noises. Patiently, introduce recordings of those same sounds at a very low volume. This way, your cat will learn to associate them with safety rather than danger. This gradual training, along with gentle petting, strengthens the bond and teaches them to trust you. Remember, a cat that feels protected will purr again, even when the outside world rumbles. 2. Fear of strangers. Just seeing a stranger triggers fear in your cat. Its whiskers twitch, its tail swells, and it seeks a safe hiding place. In the wild, an intruder can mean danger, so your feline reacts with caution and, sometimes, tension. This fear can raise its levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 30%, according to animal behavior studies. To help your cat overcome this fear, start by letting the stranger remain still and quiet, without direct gazes or sudden gestures. Allow the visitor to place a piece of clothing with their scent near the litter box or bed. The cat will gradually approach to sniff and acknowledge this new presence. With patience and positive reinforcement, a treat or gentle stroke when the cat appears, you will gradually weaken the association between strangers and danger. Step by step, that fear transforms into curiosity, and your cat will learn that a new face can also bring caresses and play. 3. Fear of water. Cats' fear of water goes beyond simple disgust. It's such a deep instinctive reaction that it can trigger anxiety and tension whenever they sense moisture. Scientifically, their fur not only gives them that soft appearance, but also functions as a protective layer that regulates body temperature, keeping them warm in the winter and dissipating heat in the summer. When that barrier becomes soaked, the thermal insulation disappears, and the cat may feel intensely cold or overheated, which triggers an alert in their nervous system. When exposed to water, many felines show clear signs of stress. Ears back, dilated pupils, and a body stiffness that announces their discomfort. To help them overcome this fear, the first thing is to respect their pace. Instead of rough baths, use warm, damp washcloths to gently clean them, rewarding each step with gentle strokes or a treat. Gradually, mix warm water in a shallow bowl and let your cat explore at its own pace, sniffing and testing the temperature without pressure. With patience and positive reinforcement, that initial fear can transform into curiosity. You'll see how, day after day, your feline companion gains confidence, associating water not only with threats, but also with moments of caring and shared well-being. 4. Fear of change. For a cat, their home is their comfort zone. Every piece of furniture, every corner, and even the sound of the door signaling their routine provides security. When that order is disrupted, it triggers intense fear. Studies show that sudden changes in their environment can raise their levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 40%, causing loss of appetite, lack of sleep, and escape behaviors. Think about how you feel if you come home to find everything in disarray, discomfort, anxiety, and the urge to leave. Your cat experiences something similar. For example, moving an armchair or rearranging their litter box can disorient them and awaken a fear they didn't know they had. To help them, make changes gradually, move one object each day, allowing them to calmly explore and smell it without rushing. Keep their feeding and play schedules as consistent as possible. If you're moving house, prepare a room with familiar objects, bed, toys, blanket, before bringing them in, so they recognize that refuge as their own. With patience and small steps, that fear turns into curiosity. Soon your cat will internalize that a change isn't always dangerous, but rather an opportunity to discover new places with the same confidence they always have. 5. Fear of invasive attention. Although many cats love affection, they also have a limit, their personal comfort zone. When that boundary is crossed, with insistent hugs, constant petting, or simply interrupting their rest, fear is triggered. Scientifically, touching a cat in sensitive areas such as the belly, paws, or tail, triggers the release of stress hormones like adrenaline, leading the feline to react with hissing, scratching, or running away. To understand this fear, imagine how you would feel if someone forced you to hug them or make physical contact when you just wanted to relax. Your cat experiences something similar. They need to feel that their body and their rhythm are under their control. Therefore, it's best to learn to interpret their signals. Ears tilted, a gently wagging tail, or moving away a few inches indicate it's time to stop. The key is to offer affection on their own terms. Approach slowly, stroke their head or behind their ears, where most feel most comfortable, and stop contact as soon as they show signs of wanting their space. With patience and respect for their personal zone, you'll transform that fear into trust. Your cat will learn that affection is not only pleasurable, but also safe. 6. Fear of car rides. Imagine your own means of transportation, the car, becomes a noisy, strange box, filled with unfamiliar smells and constant movement. For many cats, the mere rocking of the vehicle triggers a deep fear, their heart pounds, their pupils dilate, and they curl up in the corner of the carrier. Veterinary studies show that more than 60% of felines associate the car with the vet's office, which spikes their cortisol levels and leaves them trembling. To alleviate this fear, the secret lies in familiarity and positive reinforcement. First, leave the carrier open at home, with their favorite blanket and a toy inside. This way, the cat will see it as a refuge, not a trap. Place treats or catnip nearby so they associate it with pleasure. When the day of the trip arrives, start with very short trips, a walk around the block or to the nearby park, without going to the vet, rewarding calmness with gentle strokes or a treat they love. Little by little, as they see that the car doesn't always mean pain or fear, their anxiety will decrease. With these steps, you can transform the terror of the trip into curiosity and, ultimately, calmness. Your cat will discover that the car can also be used to discover new horizons, rather than just a path to fear. 7. Fear of punishment. The fear of punishment arises when a cat associates an action with a negative consequence. A scream, a fright, or a rough touch can mark their memory and trigger a constant alert. Unlike humans, cats don't immediately associate their behavior with punishment, they only perceive that something dangerous is happening. This uncertainty generates high levels of cortisol and adrenaline, triggering anxiety, distrust, and avoidance behaviors. Imagine that every time you try to play with your cat, you end up yelling at it or abruptly pushing it away. As a consequence, the cat will stop approaching you and its trust will be shattered. Studies in animal behavior show that physical or verbal punishment does not improve behavior and, in fact, can increase feline stress by up to 50%. The alternative to punishment is positive reinforcement. Reward each good behavior with gentle strokes, toys, or treats. If your cat scratches the sofa, instead of scolding it, redirect its attention to a scratching post and, when it uses it, give it a treat. With this method, the cat will learn not out of fear, but from the pleasure of receiving something pleasant. Little by little, the fear of making mistakes will give way to trust, strengthening its bond and improving its emotional well-being. 8. Fear of veterinarians. Just seeing the clinic and smelling those mixed odors, antiseptics, medicines, and unfamiliar aromas, stirs up a deep fear in many cats. Add in the glare of cold lights, the echoing footsteps in the hallways, and the possibility of injections or abrupt exams, and you'll understand why so many felines prefer to flee rather than face a visit to the vet. Veterinary studies indicate that up to 70% of cats show clear signs of anxiety during these visits, increased heart rate, dilated pupils, and searching for hiding places under the exam table. To transform that fear into calm, start with socialization sessions. Bring your cat in its empty carrier to the office environment, without an appointment schedule, and allow it to explore and return home calmly. At home, place synthetic pheromones, diffusers or sprays, in the carrier and practice short handling sessions. Gently pet him, introduce the soft sound of a stethoscope, and reward each pause with treats. On the day of the appointment, maintain your calm energy, speak in a low, measured voice, wrap him in a soft towel if needed, and accompany him calmly to the vet. Each positive experience will reduce his stress, and over time, the fear of the appointment will become manageable. This way, taking care of his health will be less traumatic for both your cat and you. 9. Fear of being without his owner. For a cat, his owner is his primary source of security, food, and affection. When that figure disappears, even for a few hours, fear quickly sets in. Scientifically, many felines can experience separation anxiety syndrome, elevating their cortisol levels and displaying behaviors such as excessive meowing, destruction of objects, or loss of appetite. Think about how you would feel if you were left alone in an unfamiliar place: discomfort, distress, and the desire to flee. Your cat goes through the same thing when you leave for work or go out for a few minutes. To help, leave objects that smell like you, a worn t-shirt, a favorite blanket, or a pillow. These familiar scents act as an emotional anchor, reminding them of your presence. Also, introduce interactive toys that stimulate their mind in your absence. Food dispensers or treat balls keep their hunting instincts engaged and reduce their anxiety. Establishing a predictable routine, a short game before leaving and a cuddle session upon returning, helps condition their brain. Goodbye means the reunion will come later. With patience and consistency, this fear will soften. Your cat will learn that your departure is not final, and you can leave him alone with the confidence that, sooner or later, you will once again be his companion and protector. Did you know that leaving your cat alone without the proper precautions can cause anxiety, stress, and even health problems? Many owners unknowingly make mistakes that profoundly affect their feline's well-being. Avoid these oversights. Click now on the video that appears on the screen. What you should never do when leaving your cat alone. Your cat trusts you. Protect it. This video can make all the difference. Reducing your cat's fear improves their health and strengthens your bond. Observe their signals, respect their timing, and apply these tips. Which of these fears do you think affects your feline the most? Tell us in the comments. Like and subscribe to continue learning about your companion's well-being. See you in the next episode.